Welcome to another weekly webinar. This is Sarah Flack, the Child Advocacy Center of the Finger Lakes Education Coordinator, here to talk to you today about a popular new game called Among Us. So just want to start by talking about where do kids play this game. So like I said, this is a popular online game. It's like a murder mystery style game, so similar to something like Clue, where people are trying to figure out who the bad guys are. Since the spring, there has been 100 million downloads of Among Us, and the average daily number of users is about 60 million. This is somewhat contributed to the COVID-19 pandemic and the idea that kids are at home and their way of connecting is typically virtually and through online gaming. It is available on the PC or mobile devices. And so the concern with that is really the in-app purchases. So although this game is free, it's kind of similar like Fortnite. So if you were to purchase this game on the PC, it would cost you $4.99. However, on any mobile device through an app store, it can be downloaded free of charge. So that's your cell phones, your tablets, even Chromebooks if Google Play is available. However, even though the game is free, when you start the game, your main selections for your character are your color and sometimes minimal amounts of accessories. So maybe like a hat or something silly. All of the in app purchases, similar to Fortnite, are cosmetic in nature and they don't enhance the quality of the game or the quality of the player's capabilities. They're just really to be kind of fun and silly and expressive. So the concern there isn't necessarily what they're buying, it's just the fact that they have the opportunity to spend money and to spend money quite easily if there is a credit or debit card connected to the device. It's a one click for a young child. So even though they may not intentionally buy things, they might just see things, think that it looks cool, and click on it and not really put a second thought in. So there is that risk that your child could run up a credit card bill by purchasing these in-app cosmetic upgrades. So for Among Us, the gameplay is actually quite short. Each game or each round is only about 10 to 15 minutes in length. At the beginning of the game, players, when they enter the room, are randomly assigned one of two roles. They're either assigned an imposter or a crewmate. Imposter's job is to kind of fly under the radar in an attempt to, in their time limit, eliminate all of the crewmates. At the beginning of the game, only imposters know who is assigned an imposter or crewmate. Everyone else who's assigned a crewmate only knows that they are assigned a crewmate. Crewmate's goal is a little bit twofold. So all of these characters are actually on what looks like a spaceship, and this ship needs to be repaired before the time runs out. So their way of winning the game is for crewmates to either repair their ship fully or to eliminate the imposters. As imposters go around eliminating the crewmates, we have little meetings and crewmates get to vote on who they believe the imposter is, and they vote people off of the ship. If they're able to vote all of the imposters off of the ship in time, the crewmates are considered the winners. And if not, and they aren't able to repair their ship in time, then the imposters would be considered the winner for that game round. The concern for this is the mild violence. So oftentimes when they are eliminating players, they can term it as either murdering or killing the crewmates. As you can see, the character on the left is one of our typical Among Us characters. All of the characters look the same with, like I said, the variation of color or sometimes some random accessories. The mild violence is really quite that. This is a very cartoon animated game. However, the only actual violent scene you'll see or murder image that you might see is if you are the crewmate who is being eliminated. In some ways, This will only flash on your screen to notify you that you have been eliminated, and each clip is about 2 seconds in duration. It may be um, showing you getting stabbed or shot, but there is no blood or gore on the image. After that, your character doesn't even look like a body laying on the floor. It actually looks like a honey roasted ham. So it is pretty animated. All other crewmates who stumble across a slain um, crewmate would just see this ham image. Meetings are the time when online players are able to talk and communicate. It's the only time during the game that they can talk or communicate through the game itself. And these happen in one of two ways. Either a slain crewmate is found by another crewmate, in which case a meeting is called to discuss if the players have a feeling or general idea of who an imposter could be. And this is the only time that they can vote on who they want to vote off the ship. Emergency meetings can also be called, but each player is only allowed to hit the emergency meeting button one time per game. As you can see, the concern for this may be that some players may be inappropriate at this time using that chat feature. They may use cuss words or inappropriate language. However, these communications are usually quite limited and it is in a group setting. The other concern is for soliciting of external apps for chatting. So this could also be a time where your child comes into contact with somebody they're playing with online, and that person could share with them either their cell phone number, Instagram or Snapchat, some other way to connect with them outside of Among Us. So really the important part there is to talk about your kids about how they are going to respond if anybody has inappropriate language during the chat, and to reiterate that you don't want them connecting with on external apps. So the game is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot happening. Again, the games are pretty short. So even if you are eliminated, you only have to wait a short amount of time to begin a new game or a new round. Some safety tips. So there is the option to have private games. Private games occur with just your local friends and require a code to enter. This would be my rule of thumb, especially for new players and younger players, or for any parents who may have concerns about their child playing this game. There are global or private games. So the global game, it's really a toggle feature right when you're setting up or entering the app. You can go to a global game where it'll randomly put you in a room with other people who are on the app at the same time. The private game, again, if you're the one starting a new game, then you would have that control to set it to private. It would give you a code that then you would share with your direct friends, whether that's via text message or just communicating to them if they're nearby. And they would type in that code in order to get into that private game. This would really be the best way to prevent your children from playing with people who are strangers to them. And it's also a good way for you to play alongside your child if that would help you feel more comfortable. And, it's always a good idea to test run a game before allowing your child to play it by themselves, anyways. You also want to make sure to deactivate credit cards so that the in app purchases can't be completed. And encourage your child to use an alias screen name. Screen names appear above their icons as well as in their meeting spaces. A lot of times the default screen name is set to whatever the device name is. So if your child is using a tablet that's titled their first name, you want to make sure that you go into the settings section on the app and alter their screen name to some other random alias. It could be something silly, or just a random combination of letters and numbers, but you want to avoid identifying features that would include parts of their name or their parts of their address or town that they live in, their school, or any important numerical information like their birthday, and things of that nature. Again, you want to make sure that you talk to your children about how to handle inappropriate players. So this would be, talking to your children about what you would hope what your expectations are of them when they're communicating with others, and keeping it, clean and safe, and avoiding, cuss words, swearing, or harmful words. And also, how will they respond if another player is using inappropriate language? One of the things that players can do is they can decide to vote that player off their ship. If this is a local game with local friends, they might feel more comfortable directly telling their friends that they don't appreciate that language and they don't want them to use it. And then they could also start a new private game and not share their code with that person if that person is not following their basic um, rules for appropriate behavior during the game. Lastly, like we talk about all online safety and gaming, is be sure to talk about setting time limits and guidelines. Time limits as to how long you want your child to engage in online gaming, as well as at what time of day. Maybe you set a guideline or limit of only an hour or two a day, or that there's specific times during the day when they're able to play, where other times of the day are designated to family time, school time, chores, etc. And I already talked about playing with your kids, so that could either be sitting with your child while they're playing and getting a better understanding of the game and how they interact with their friends and other online individuals. Or it could be actually downloading the app on your device as well and creating local games where you are a participant in the game. There are plenty of resources online with more information if you're looking for it. And you can also certainly contact me, Sarah Flack, at either my email address or my phone number below. My email address is sara@cacfingerlakes.org. And our office phone number is 585 394 2573.